Ambassador Zixathara of the Velothian Confederation stared at the datapad with what humans would recognize as barely contained horror. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called for the third time this cycle, and each time it was about the same problem. The humans. "Esteemed colleagues," Zixathara began, his crystalline vocal cords producing the harmonic frequencies that served as the universal translation standard. "We face an unprecedented crisis. The species designation human from planet Earth has somehow infiltrated 17 different star systems, established trade routes with 43 civilizations, and started what they call cultural exchange, programs with races we've been at war with for millennia." A collective shudder rippled through the assembled representatives. The Krillian delegate, whose species communicated through bioluminescent pulses, flashed an urgent pattern. The translation matrix rendered it as, "How is this possible? Earth was never officially contacted. The first contact protocols were never initiated." "That," said Zixathara, "is precisely the problem." 3 months earlier, the cargo freighter Wandering Prophet had suffered a catastrophic navigation failure while hauling Tyrellian crystals to the outer rim. Captain Marcus Chen, along with his crew of 12 humans, had found themselves stranded in the Kepler 442 system after their experimental faster-than-light drive malfunctioned in ways that violated several known laws of physics. Instead of dying quietly in space, as any reasonable species would do, the humans had done something that still baffled xenobiologists across the galaxy. They improvised. Using nothing but spare parts, a coffee maker, and what their engineer Sarah Martinez had called aggressive optimism, they had jury-rigged their ship into something that barely qualified as spaceworthy, but somehow achieved inter-system travel. More disturbing still, they had improved upon existing FTL technology by accident. "The humans didn't know they were supposed to wait for official first contact," continued Zixathara. "They simply assumed they belonged here." The Gorthak representative, a massive creature whose species had conquered 12 worlds through sheer military might, rumbled his confusion. "Why didn't we simply remove them? 1 ship, 12 primitives. Surely this was manageable." Zixathara's chromatic skin shifted to a pale blue, indicating deep distress. "We tried. The first attempt involved the hegemony's finest stealth cruiser, the Void's Edge. They intercepted the human vessel near the Proxima Nebula." The assembly leaned forward, eager for details. "The humans invited them aboard for something called coffee and donuts." Captain Chen apparently convinced the hegemony crew that humans were an officially recognized trading partner, showed them forged documents that somehow passed their security, screening, and sold them a crate of what humans call Earth spices for enough credits to repair their ship properly. The hegemony delegate's tentacles writhed in embarrassment. "The spices were remarkably valuable. Our analysis indicated they were rare compounds with significant medicinal properties." "They were oregano and black pepper," Zixathara said flatly. "Common Earth seasonings. The humans convinced one of the galaxy's most militaristic civilizations to pay premium prices for leaves and ground seeds." But that was only the beginning. Word spread through the galactic community about these strange new traders with their impossible ship and exotic goods. Captain Chen, displaying a talent for diplomacy that had never been tested on hostile alien species, had somehow negotiated safe passage through territories where century-old blood feuds still raged. "The Krillians and the Vorthan Empire have been at war for 400 years, the Krillian delegate pulsed urgently. Yet somehow the humans convinced both sides to attend a peace barbecue on an asteroid in neutral space. Zixthera nodded grimly. The ceasefire has lasted 67 days. Both sides are too busy trying to reverse engineer human hamburger technology to resume hostilities. Dr. Lisa Park, the expedition's xenobiologist, had become something of a celebrity after publishing a paper titled Basic Interspecies Friendship Protocols that had somehow become required reading at diplomatic academies across 3 sectors. Her methodology was disturbingly simple. Treat everyone with respect, share food, and show genuine interest in other cultures. Revolutionary concepts, muttered the Andromedan representative, whose species had spent millennia perfecting the art of formal diplomatic intimidation. The situation had spiraled further out of control when Chief Engineer Martinez had offhandedly mentioned that humans had figured out artificial gravity without using expensive graviton manipulators. When pressed for details, she had shrugged and explained that they simply spun their ships. The concept was so primitive that no one had considered it, yet it worked perfectly and cost virtually nothing to implement. 17 civilizations have already retrofitted their fleets, Zixthera reported. The economic implications are staggering. What of their military capabilities? Demanded the Gorthak representative. Surely we can classify them as a threat and respond accordingly. That's complicated, Zixthera admitted. When the stellar marauders had attempted to board the human ship, expecting easy prey, they had encountered something unprecedented. Humans fighting with what they called unreasonable enthusiasm. Marine Sergeant Jake Morrison had apparently convinced the pirates that resistance was futile, not through superior firepower, but by demonstrating human resilience and what he termed spite-based combat tactics. The marauders had withdrawn after Morrison, despite being shot 3 times, had continued fighting while explaining human military history with disturbing cheerfulness. They fight like they're already dead, the marauder captain had reportedly told his crew, but they're smiling about it. The final straw had come when Captain Chen had somehow convinced the Galactic Trade Commission that Earth was due for membership consideration, despite having never been officially discovered. The paperwork was flawless, the references checked out, and the application had been filed in triplicate with all proper procedures followed. How? Asked the Andromedan delegate. Chen said he Googled galactic law and filled out the forms like any reasonable person would, Zixthera replied. Apparently, humans have a global information network that they use to solve problems. They applied this to interstellar bureaucracy. The Galactic Council sat in stunned silence. A species had accidentally conquered their way into the galactic community through competence, friendliness, and a complete disregard for established protocols. Recommendations? Zixthera asked weakly. The Krillian delegate pulsed thoughtfully. Perhaps we could learn from them? And so it was that humanity officially joined the Galactic Council, not through careful first contact procedures or advanced technology, but because 12 humans with a broken ship had been too stubborn to accept that they didn't belong among the stars. Captain Chen, when informed of their new status, had simply nodded and asked if anyone wanted to try his grandmother's apple pie recipe. 3 diplomatic incidents were resolved that afternoon over dessert. The galaxy, it seemed, had gained something it never knew it needed. A species too optimistic to recognize impossible odds and too friendly to be stopped by them.